I think learning is the most
Yeah.
important part. Um, I don't know if you had a similar experience, but like there are certain courses in CS where you feel kind of like lost. Like sometimes you're like, wow, this concept is so confusing. And you like go to office hours and you talk to your friends and it's still like very difficult. And I had like
Mhm.
a few of those experiences. And what helped me like, move past that was just understanding like it's okay sometimes to not know something. Like just try your best and like
Yeah.
as much help.
That's a
Yeah.
great point because I think that was um, a real kind of lesson that I needed to learn about like sophomore or junior year when the classes just started getting really, really hard.
Right.
Where the idea that I would need to go to office hours or need to get help from external sources was honestly kind of foreign to me. I think for a lot of Berkeley students, maybe you
Mhm.
come in and you're supposed to be like kind of like really good at whatever you're doing. That's how you got
Right.
into Berkeley. But then you start taking these really hard classes, and all of a sudden, like the truth is that you could either kill yourself and try to figure it out by yourself, or you can reach out to help. And learning how to reach out to help and knowing what to ask for is actually skills that I had to learn while I was taking these classes. And it definitely got to the point where, like, I remember I was taking CS 70, which is a discrete math and probability class, same for CS 170, which is an algorithms class. I had a schedule. I would on Friday, I had only one class. The rest of the time I spent in office hours just doing the
Wow.
homework. Um, and at first, it felt like, why do I need so much help? Why do I need to spend hours in office hours? But the truth is that that's a way of learning too.
Right.
Something that I always think about is Hank Green said, he's like a big YouTube guy. Hank Green says that when everything that you know, you didn't know at some point. So
Right.
before you make fun of someone for not knowing something, you were in that exact place before someone taught it to you. And I definitely think that's important to learn when you're struggling in classes, and you will struggle in classes in Berkeley. Just like seeing everyone who gets it so naturally, like they didn't understand it at one point too, and then they figured it out. There's nothing inherently wrong with not understanding a concept or not being able to solve a problem.
Exactly. And I think that's especially important in a professional setting as well. I don't know if you can shed some light about like now as a full-time engineer, but like for me, like during internships, I would always feel so dumb at the beginning of the internship. I would just be like, wait, what does this mean? This mean? And like I realize like I think people have an expectation like you won't know a lot of things. And like once you become comfortable asking all these like questions that you have in mind, you're going to be like a lot more successful. And
Yeah, I
it's
remember
it's
you
just
were really
hard
good
to
at
like
that,
just overcome
when
that
we were
especially.
interning together at Etsy. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely would, like, no, like, it was really great to, like, because I had that same idea of, like, I wanna prove myself to them, I wanna show
Right.
them that I'm a really good, intern, so I don't wanna, like, show any weakness by
Yeah.
asking questions, but, yeah, you're exactly right, they totally first of all, they expect you to just, like, know nothing, like, they
Yeah.
didn't they hired you as an intern, and I think it's easy for you to always feel like you're like the most important person in the room, but it's like you are not important as an intern is like the reality of it. Um, so yeah, just like asking questions, and I think that's such a good like habit to fall into because again, it goes back to pretending. Like, why pretend to be anything that you're not? Like, if the
Right.
truth is that I don't understand how to do this thing, who is it helping for me to pretend that I know how to do it? It's not helping the company because they're getting probably subpar work from me because I don't know what I'm doing. It's not helping me because I'm not learning. It's not helping my team because now they think I can do something that I can't. So yeah, ask
100%.
questions. Just be honest about where you're at. You're
Exactly.
already hired, you know? Like
Yeah, you're already hired. Wait, one of my biggest worries in the beginning of Etsy was that I was gonna get fired. And I
no.
remember talking to other people. I was like, "Hey, man, like remember like the first thing like they give you this like GitHub
The
repo to like
boot
learn,
camp?
yeah, or
Yeah.
something, and then like you had to like do that, and I was struggling with it, and I would always message Kyle. I'll be like, "Hey,
Yeah, I remember we had, like,
can
a
you
group
help
chat where,
me?"
like, did
Dude,
anyone get to
Kyle
this
was
part? Kyle was
yeah,
really good
Kyle
at
was
it.
so ahead of everyone else, like the super code lab, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the
And I
super
was like,
code lab.
oh, dude, I was like, man, I'm gonna get fired in my first week. I can't finish
Yeah.
this quickly. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
just, like, after I think 2 weeks of that, I just got bored of it, and I was like I asked my manager if I could stop, and she's like, "Yeah, it's probably fine."
yeah, it was like not that important. Like, I don't think it was that important. It was just like fun to
I
like
think it was,
refresh
like,
on
very
stuff.
broad, so it didn't like,
Yeah,
some parts were really helpful for each person, but, like,
exactly.
yeah, it wasn't, like, catered to your exact job, so not all of it was
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember there was like a database section in it, and only one person could like edit the database at a time. So we'd be like in line
I
just
remember
doing
that.
the super code lab.
And you're like, please let me in. That
That
was
was a
so
fun
funny.
time.
And I remember like my favorite moment at Etsy was, or not my favorite moment, like my favorite moments were like when we were hanging out as interns. And I think that's like
Yeah.
something that I found like very helpful throughout college is like having like a good group of friends and a good like study group. Like I've done
Mhm.
really poorly in classes where it's like just me and I don't know anyone else. And I don't know, like at Etsy, what made me like having like a really great group of friends and like
Mhm.
fellow interns who are also like doing stuff at Etsy was just super helpful, like in a weird way, like not weird way, like unexpectedly, like just having that support system was
Yeah,
just like
I
very helpful for
definitely
productivity.
agree with that. Yeah, I think to date, like that was just like the best summer of
Dude,
my
that was
life.
so
Like, it
fun.
was such a great time. Like, could probably do an entire podcast episode about like how much I loved that summer. But yeah, I think the people made a really huge difference. And I remember when we were doing end
Yeah.
of summer presentations, we were told to like put our favorite part of the experience. And I just put a bunch of
Yeah.
pictures of all of the
Oh my
crazy things that
gosh.
we did
Yeah.
that entire summer because it I think one big thing, unexpected thing that I learned from that summer was just the importance of having a good team around you. And I kind of
Mm,
already like I knew that
100%.
from like a friend's sense, where I really believe that you're the average of like the closest five people around you.
Yeah.
But it really showed me. I think internships a big purpose of internships is showing what like kind of what's your list of things that you need in a job that you take. And something that I didn't have on the list before Etsy, but I certainly had afterwards, was the importance of having a team that I really jived with. And it was the interns, all of us, and then also the actual team that I was on that I'd be working with every day. It is such a pleasant and good experience when you like the people that you're working with and you really feel like you
100%.
are part of a team working towards a common goal.
Yeah.
Really makes like the world of a difference where you're not just like a singular person doing your job and tapping out. It's like this community, this building is like a place that I really enjoy being.
Yeah, and like what stuck out to me in like Etsy was like as you mentioned, like the people and like enjoying working with the people, but
Mhm.
was super cool was the people like were super interesting. Like one of my coworkers, she had her own band,
Yeah.
and then like one of my other coworkers was like really good at cooking, and like my other coworker just like traveled a lot, and I was like, wow, these people like are so cool and super interesting. While like to be honest, when I
Yeah.
worked at certain other companies, like the software engineers, all they did was code, code, code all day and talk about algorithms. And I was kind of it was fun, but like it wasn't as like enriching hearing about like all these different shared experiences. So that's something
Yeah,
that kind of opened
definitely.
my eyes.
Yeah, I think Etsy, like, my team at Adobe is kind of like that too. But I think speaking
Yeah.
to Etsy, like, one thing that they just did incredibly, especially on the engineering team, I think they really prioritized bringing in people of really varied backgrounds. Like, there were a lot of
100%.
engineers on the team that were not engineers by trade. Like, they had done
Yeah.
something else and then they did like a boot camp and now they are doing computer science. And really lent to like so many cool people to talk to. Like, I remember we had a hackathon and I was working with someone in I think UX research. And at the end of the summer, she like sent everyone an email. She's like, I'm leaving Etsy. I'm gonna pursue my dream of painting in France. And she just fully moved to France to
So
become a
cool.
painter. And I was like, people here are so cool. Like I think that's a big takeaway of my time at Etsy was just like everyone, and maybe like New York in general, because that's the first time I'd really spent any time out of
True.
California, and I had really imagined this like beautiful place that New York would be. And like I think Etsy really like lived up to that. I was like, every single
For
person is
sure.
so cool. They're so chic. Like the best people at Etsy for sure.
On yeah, and we were set up like right next to the train station where we live. That was hype.
Yeah.
Like
Right out the
EHS.
door. Like I cannot like over emphasize how it was you walk out of the door and the subway station is right there.
And you could also go to Brooklyn Heights. And we lived in a bougie
We
area.
lived yeah, we lived in a really nice area. We lived like maybe a 5-minute walk from the Brooklyn Bridge. We were
Right.
like Dumbo was right there, the piers were all right there. It was like
Dumbo. Yeah. We were so lucky.
the what was it?
But yeah.
The promenade? Is that what it was called? Like when
Yeah,
you
the
would walk up.
promenade, like that looks over. Yeah. That
Incredible. Just like a
was
view of
right.
Manhattan. Wow. That
Yeah.
was
Honestly, that
and
was
we
so
could walk to
cool.
the office every day, which is like so few
That's
people
nice.
can do that, even in New York. Like we didn't have to take a train or anything. We would literally walk to our office and then walk back. and then
We were
get
really
like the
spoiled as
$3 falafel
interns. Yeah.
sandwiches from the place next door.
Dude, and then also they had like those lunches, right? Which really built community as
Sweet,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was really good. And something that I tried to like do for like my own club. You mentioned like you were like on the exec board for, Invention Core, and like as a leader of like my own club now, I try to do that as well, like building community. And I
Mhm.
kind of steal like some of the themes that like
Yeah.
Etsy has.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, bringing it back to what I was saying with Invention Core, I think Etsy
Hmm.
really kind of manifested that idea that I had been building through my, like, work with projects in Invention Core about doing mission-led work, and I think Etsy was a really
Right.
great
Yes.
company to do that in, where,
Hmm.
I worked on really user-facing, like, a really user-facing team, like, we literally worked on, like, the most traffic page, so we were always thinking about, like, our people there were so many, like, little metrics that you had to look at because it's like, we want people to, like, use this, like, to buy things on Etsy.
Right.
And I think they did such a great job of like always, putting their motto in the forefront, like keep commerce human. All of the
Right.
changes, the big changes that we went through that summer, whether it be a new feature or a new initiative, it was so kind of rooted in the people that we were doing it for. And it was all really driven by this idea that we were helping small businesses and artists like show their work off. And that solidified the idea that work is really meaningful for me when I can be connected to the people I'm doing it for and really see that I'm making an impact in other people's lives. So it was really cool to kind of see that thread carry over from school to
Mm.
actually working in the real world.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Like when I was recruiting was like being client facing in a sense where you could like kind of see like how your user is using your like product. Like
Hmm.
at GitHub, like you can
Yeah,
literally see developers
use
like
GitHub every single day.
criticizing
Man.
your feature
Like,
or like
could not live
complimenting it.
without it. Yeah.
Yeah, like people like give you very, very candid feedback,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
yeah,
great. I really like it. Like it's really helpful. So like, oh, like I'm impacting this one user this way. And then
yeah,
similarly to like what we do at school, like building like what you did in Benjacore is super cool. Like all the different clients you worked with, like you can see like your real impact. And that's
yeah.
what I like personally like gets me going, like for my
Definitely.
work.
I
Yeah.
think it's interesting that you bring up like the really candid user feedback because I think
Yeah.
that kind of displays maybe a flip side of feeling so user connected. Because I don't know how you feel about getting negative feedback. I think that's
Yeah.
a little. We got a taste of that at our summer at Etsy because that's the
Right.
summer they rolled out this kind of unpopular. I don't know, like
Free? Is it free
the
shipping?
feature,
That one? Yeah.
unpopular, like, way of doing things, I guess, that a lot of
Yeah.
the sellers on Etsy were really upset about. So I don't know how you felt about seeing I remember we used to send each other videos on
Yeah.
Facebook of, like, people just ripping it apart, and then we even
Oh
though
my
we'd only
gosh, I
worked
remember
there for,
that.
like, a month, I remember being like, "We're kind of pissed." Like, and being like I think as invested as you get for, giving people a positive experience,
Right.
that you also feel it when people have a negative experience. I don't know if you felt similarly,
Yeah, I
in
felt the
that
same way. And I remember we were reconnecting with the other interns, and a Pranay shared a thread from a forum where they criticized like an article about the interns and specifically criticized me because
Wait,
they
wait,
said
I don't
like,
even think I saw this.
okay, so basically this thread said like, hey, this kid said this. And I was just trying to be vulnerable in my interview. I was like, oh, in my first 2 weeks, I had to ask Stum for help. That's literally the
Oh,
premise of the first thing. And then they're like, oh, this type of engineer is low quality. Like, this is the stuff that is like, this is why
who
like
wrote this?
Etsy is
Like,
messed up. It was like a random anonymous user on Etsy.
okay, wait,
And a
send
Pranay
me,
showed
like,
me.
truly send me this, like, later. I
Yeah,
have
I will
not read
send it
this.
to you
I don't know
after.
if my heart
Like,
can take it, but, like, I wanna read it.
it's not that intense. Like, it was like three
Okay,
sentences, but it
okay,
hurt.
but still. Yeah, no,
I was
definitely.
upset. And I was like, Pranay, why do you show me that? I would like not know it if you showed me that. Like next time, don't show me that. But like,
Okay, so
dude, it
that's,
was
like, different because
crazy.
that's, like, a personal attack. Like, that's not even, like, attacking the work that you did. That's, like,
Yeah.
saying Ethan is a bad engineer,
Yeah. And I
which,
was
like,
like,
you have to not
whoa.
be, like, hurt by that.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, not true.
Yeah,
But
first
I
of
guess
all, I'm a
whatever.
kick-ass engineer.
Yeah.
Second of all, go off of anonymous.